Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Couch Dwellers, not TV, but podcast.
Hi.
That's Ryan. He's an idiot. And I'm Mike. And today we're going to be talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes.
Wow,
Okay.
riveting, Ryan.
Reminds me of, you remember Major League?
Yeah.
Bob Euchler. He's like calling this fantastic plays, and then like his backup guy's like, yeah, that's terrific. He's like, awesome commentary. He's like during a live game.
Oh, Lord.
But yes, we are doing a podcast. We're kind of in the middle of moving, and
That's right. Yeah, we're relocating studios. So right now we have the perfect setup to do the whole green screen thing that kind of helped us do the trailer reviews and
Yep.
stuff like that, or trailer reactions. But now, who knows what it's going to be? We got to keep doing something, though.
Yeah, and I'm with that. So again, we don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully, fingers crossed, I hope we kind of go back to the green screen and get to do some stuff. And if we do, I would still kind of like this because I like just the sound of just this.
Yeah, maybe we get a 32-inch CRT TV. We put it in my garage, and we just go from there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Hey, if it's released on VHS, we're going to review it for you.
All right, so
Oh,
what do we
Lord.
got for everybody today for episode 1?
Episode 1, I felt like it'd be fitting to talk about probably our favorite director, Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino.
We both recently, we got to say up front, there's going to be spoilers in this. If you haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, come on, it's been out for a while.
Yeah, seriously.
But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how the movie experience is changing through Netflix and streaming platforms
For sure.
and on-demand stuff. And then maybe we'll get into our favorite movie experience that we've had.
Oh, that would be
Growing
awesome.
up.
Oh,
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
a great one for that. Here, let me tell you
Okay.
right now.
All right, so first let's talk about the new Tarantino. What is it? Movie 9 now.
Yes,
The
9.
9th film by Quentin Tarantino.
It's getting so close.
Oh, baby, the last one.
I'm calling his bluff. He's not retiring after 9.
You don't think so?
Or after 10, I mean. No, he's not retiring.
Man,
There's
I
no
don't
way.
know. He's got a heck of a portfolio now,
Nah, there's
or
no
a catalog.
There is no way. I just don't feel it. I'm calling his bluff. Calling it now.
I think he will.
It's a lock. It's August 29th, 2019. I'm officially putting my job on the line here. Quentin Tarantino will not retire after this
Oh
film.
man. See, I think he'll do like some TV directing, maybe he'll assist in some story writing, but as far as his own original story, written, directed, filmed, starred in, whatever by Quentin Tarantino, I think that's done after film number 10.
If it is, it is. It would be really weird to see him doing TV stuff. I mean, it'd be kind of cool, though.
Yeah, I mean, Fincher did, well, it's not technically TV, it's for Netflix.
Yeah.
But when Fincher did House of Cards, he helped kind of start that. And then he did Mindhunter. I mean, that kind of stuff's pretty sick. I love seeing like long format stuff
Yeah.
by amazing directors.
Full disclosure, I have not seen either one of those, except for the first episode of Mindhunter, because you made me watch it that time for the shot.
Well, David Fincher, again, is like one of my favorite
Yes.
directors. And he did, I think, I could be wrong on this, but I think he did the pilot episode of, what do you call it?
I Dream a Genie.
Yes. No, it was just a House of Cards.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So he did that one, and then they found somebody that kind of followed in his footsteps.
Wait, he only did the pilot for that, and
I
then they
think
built a whole
so.
series off of whatever pilot he started?
I don't know enough for it to be gospel, but yeah, I'm pretty sure
Dang.
he only directed a couple of episodes. I don't know that he directed more than a handful.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're getting off topic here. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Ryan and I went and saw it in theaters, and tell me what you think.
We both came out of it like, I don't know.
Yeah, it,
You know?
it was a lot to chew on.
It wasn't a bad film. By any stretch of the imagination, was not a bad film.
No, not at all.
In fact, it was really enjoyable.
Yeah.
But it's like and I told you that day, it's the loosest I've ever seen in a Tarantino movie. Not that the movie's not like tight, it has its whatever, but you can clearly see he was having a time of his life making the movie.
Right.
It's very relaxed for him.
Yeah.
And not up to, and I don't mean this insulting because, again, it's not a bad movie. It's really enjoyable and I can't wait to see it again. But it's not up to the standards of any of his previous stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. So if you compare it to other Tarantino films,
Exactly.
I was disappointed. If you
Yep.
compare it just to other films out there in the theaters,
It's Slade.
it was the best you could have seen.
I
you
feel
know?
like it's one of the best movies this year, if not the best.
But when you look at his previous body of work
Yep.
and then you watch this, you go, there's a shitload of driving around for no reason. You know, there's a lot of Brad Pitt just cruising back and forth in the caddy, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And the visuals were incredible,
Oh,
but we're used to like being enraptured by a story. I mean, Tarantino, he has the story. You know,
Yep.
that's what you go to him for. And it felt like there were tons of visuals, and the story was there, but it just wasn't anything. I was like, oh God, what a fantastic, you know.
Yeah.
It was like I really like Leo's character. I really like Brad Pitt's character.
Oh, yeah.
Everything had a nice vibe to it the whole time, but it was a little slow.
It was slow and kind of jumping the gun here, but, you know, it's kind of pathetic how laxed he was with this movie, and yet it decimates pretty much 90-something% of any of the films coming out of Hollywood.
Right. Yeah.
It's still it's still Quentin Tarantino-esque, you know, but even with him just having the time of his life, it just shows he's in a different league than anybody else.
Yeah. Even if he were to phone something in, it's going to be better
Yeah.
than, you know, most of these guys on their A game.
It's crazy.
In our opinion. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody has their own. There's the guys out there that worship Michael Bay and, you know.
Oh God.
And I can kind of see where they're coming from. You know
think
what I mean?
Earlier Michael Bay stuff I can get behind. His
Yeah,
stuff
if you
now-
look at like old action movies that he did, it was like, yeah, now it's like, you know, he's like 10 Transformers deep in a franchise, you know
It's
what I mean?
ridiculous.
And it's like, okay, it's a little much. But as far as Tarantino goes, I've seen it in the theaters twice. So I went and saw it once by myself, and I was highly disappointed.
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, Ryan, we have to go back. I have to give it a second shot. We have to go back and see it. And the second time through, I enjoyed it more.
Yeah. Of course, when I came out with you, I was definitely I couldn't give you a solid answer.
Right.
But I enjoyed the whole time I was in there. I enjoyed the film. We
Sure.
had talked about it. If you are to look at every kind of scene there is in the movie, you would go, man, I really enjoyed that scene. I really enjoyed this scene.
Right.
But as a collective whole, as a movie, it's not up to his standards. But like each individual scene, it is very much to his standard. It's very unique and different. I loved it.
And Tarantino is very much like this. It's a bunch of little stories that make up one big story. That's
Exactly.
typically how he does it. But with this, it was like, it didn't feel as glued together.
Exactly.
And I think the main thing that bothered me was you had such rich material with the Sharon Tate murder and
Yeah.
the Manson family murders and stuff
Yeah.
like that. You had gold. You know, we haven't seen just an incredible movie come out about the Manson murders. I can't
Yeah.
think of one, you know.
No.
And he had that to work with, and he did what Tarantino does best. But
He surprised us
he,
with it.
yeah.
And in saying that, I actually like the route he went
I did too.
because he is playing. He's been quoted, and I've seen it where he loves playing with the audience, and that's exactly what he did with this. And it was fun. I'll give him that. It was fun.
It was fun, but I mean, when you're pushing a movie that long and things take a while to congeal, you
Yeah.
know, I'm just like, I've watched The Hateful Eight. I've seriously watched it every single night for like months at a time.
Oh, I know. I'd be calling you. You're like, man, I'm watching The Hateful Eight again. Hey,
It's
this movie's going to get
fantastic.
old to you for one day. You know?
And yeah, it still hasn't. But I don't think I could do that with Once Upon a Time.
You know what's funny about Once Upon a Time? To me, and I've said it before, if we were to rate Tarantino movies, and this is purely opinion, obviously, but if you were
Right.
to rate Tarantino movies, before Death Proof, you would say, I mean, before
Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time came out, you would say something like Death Proof was probably in this bottom tier.
Right.
Okay.
He
And
would say that himself.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
And-
he has.
And here's the thing. I don't know which one I like better because there's certain things about Death Proof I really like. But the reason why I bring it up is because Once Upon a Time ends very abruptly like Death Proof. You know, it's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, I
wham,
see
bam,
that.
here's your delivery, bye.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? And that's what it feels like. It's just really out of nowhere. It's just, all right, we're done.
Right.
You know? But that last part is so funny. I loved Leonardo DiCaprio coming out to the hippies in the car and just having like it almost looked like
with the picture of with margaritas. Like, hey,
I get out of here, you goddamn hippies. It was pretty funny.
no, it's good. The characters, as always, are very well developed,
Yes.
and he puts a lot of heart in every single character that he writes. You
Oh,
know?
yeah.
There's no like cop number 2. You know what I mean? There's like everybody has a backstory, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean. They've lived a full life. You know, by the time they hit the screen with the Tarantino film. But
Yeah. And we talked about it, breaking down the scenes again.
right,
And you mentioned it specifically. You're like, man, I would love for him to do a horror movie. And I
Yeah.
agree with you because two of the what should have been like the biggest scenes that he made so creepy,
right,
especially when they went out to the ranch. He's wanting to see his old friend.
yeah,
Everybody in this whole thing is acting sketchy. The build up to it and the shots that he did of the girl from above while she's watching TV, it's all creepy. And then,
Right.
she's a dick to him. To
yeah.
Brad Pitt's
Dakota
character.
Fanning's character.
Yes.
yeah, she's
And
great.
the build up of suspense for that, for
Yeah.
something so trivial, and the payoff, it's like, man, if he really did put his mind and his heart and mind to something like a horror film,
Right.
I mean, that scene's up. It's not quite up there, but it's up there with the Jew hunter. And,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Inglourious Basterds.
Yeah, that's the
milk
thing.
scene.
You know, Hitchcock has this thing where he talks about how you create suspense, and basically, you create suspense by having two people at a table having a normal conversation, but you show them the bomb underneath
Yeah.
the table, and then you keep going on with the conversation, and it makes the audience like, oh shit, this thing's gonna blow. And Tarantino builds that same kind of suspense.
Yeah, he does.
He does it. Inglourious Basterds perfect for it because it's the first scene where he shows the Jews under the floorboards, and they're having just a casual conversation, and Christoph Waltz is like slamming back milk, and you know what I mean. The whole time he does that exact same thing. Then he does the same thing during the bar scene too. I mean, that movie is really well put together.
Yes, it
and
is.
when you compare Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to that film, it falls a little flat.
Do you think it has to do with his editor passing away prior to this film?
I see. Here's why I don't think so.
Okay.
Because I think that Tarantino, it doesn't matter who edits a Tarantino film, Tarantino is going to edit the film.
I do agree with that, and he's very strong, opinionated on what he wants.
All right.
But I still think that one person, it was a lady, I can't think of her name right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know if she edited all of his film, every single one of his films, but she damn near did every single one of his films, especially the last few leading up.
Right.
And she ended up passing away.
Yeah.
I still, we may not know. Maybe he's not a hands-on guy. He probably doesn't even know what fucking DaVinci Resolve and Adobe Premiere are.
Right,
Maybe
yeah.
he doesn't know anything about editing. He just kind of wants to say, this is what I want it to feel like. And maybe he can push to some extent to what he thinks is right.
Yeah.
Even if he's strongly opinionated, but maybe the editor is not vibing with him. So I don't know.
If I would guess how it goes down at Tarantino Studios, Sacramento, California, wherever, I'm guessing he's got an editor at the computer and he's hunched over their shoulder the entire time.
Oh, God.
I guarantee it, because that's how people read scripts of his.
Yeah.
They say that like he has them come out to his house and read the script while he watches them reading the script.
Good Lord.
It's kind of like we just watched the new Chappelle stand-up.
Yeah.
And I had watched it the night before, And then I came into the studio and I said, "Oh God, Ryan, you gotta watch this," you know. And as we're watching it, I'm more watching you because I'm like, "Oh God, here comes the punchline." I'm like waiting for you to crack up. You know, that's the best part about it. So I feel like he's the same way. Like he's like intently watching, looking at their reactions to see. Because sometimes you write something and you go, "Oh, this is killer," and then somebody else reads and goes, "Yeah, it sucks."
Yeah, we've had more of that in our lives.
Yeah. Well, it was like that. I, working towards writing that stand-up material I did for the show. It's like read it. I'm like, what do you think about that? Man, it's all right. I'm like expecting a big laugh. You're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's real funny.
Sure. Yeah. But it's definitely worth seeing. It's just, in my opinion, and what it sounds like from you, it's not his best work, but it's still a Tarantino film worth watching.
But like I said, pretty much all the scenes in the movie are so fun to watch.
And they can stand alone.
Yes.
And you're like, oh man, I want to watch that one particular part again. I want to watch that one particular part again. I think too, it's hard to take our word because we've been so amped for this movie to come out.
True.
Ever since Hateful Eight hit DVD and on demand and whatever, we've been waiting for the next Tarantino film.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think a lot of that is unfair because we have such high expectations. And sometimes, he's in a relationship now, and he's in fact married. And, these are things like people evolve and they mature into different areas. And you have to allow them to be a person that matures and changes and grows.
Yep.
And you can't always go, we want you to do what you did 15 years ago, 25 years ago. You know what I mean?
And to that degree, I feel like a lot of people have, because although all these movies that he's made are, like we said, they're just like it's a Tarantino film. They stand alone versus anything else.
Right.
I feel like they've all been kind of different. He was like, you know what, I'm going to make a kung fu movie. You know what, I'm going to make a spaghetti western. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make Django Unchained.
Right.
They're all different and they're all entertaining. And I feel like he's definitely matured in each one of them. And that's why I feel like, and I agree with this with you, is when we saw Hateful Eight, it's like the peak for him in a sense. I don't qualify it as my favorite. I know it's your favorite.
Yeah, it's mine.
But I do think it's like his peak. It's like, man, if this is what he can make, I can only imagine what he's going to keep chopping out. And then I feel like, and maybe this was his feel. Maybe he did put a lot of heart and soul in that, because that was very involved with the Roadshow, and then also, retrofitting, 60, 70-year-old lenses to work on this. Maybe with this one, he was like, hey, man, I want to write something I enjoy and have fun, and maybe it's just a passion project that he got Sony to foot the bill for,
Right, yeah. Yeah, you know what? It's worth taking a look at. I'm curious what other people that are huge Tarantino fans have to say about it.
Yeah, I'm anxious to hear too.
All right, moving on. We need to talk about Netflix and Amazon Studios, and now CBS as well.
You're going to have to help me with Amazon Studios and CBS, because I'm only like Netflix and Amazon Prime,
Well, okay, so you know what they are.
Yeah.
They're movie streaming services and video on demand services and things like that. But they started putting money behind creating original content.
Yeah.
And at first it was series, and then they started dabbling with, almost like straight to DVD type stuff, where it was like, we'll get Adam Sandler to do a movie about whatever. And they'll come out with original content, original movies, and everybody's just kind of started accepting that format. And it's here recently within, the last 8 years maybe?
Yeah, for sure. And of course, I use all of it, but it's not the same experience as going into a movie yet.
It's not.
And you'll probably never get that same experience, but at the same time, they still haven't met Hollywood like eye to eye in the quality.
Yeah. But here's the thing now. So it used to be they'd create the content and it would go straight to their platform. Now they're going to theaters as well.
Might be a pretty smart move.
It is a smart move because here's the thing. I'm in a completely different mindset when I watch Netflix as I am when I'm at the theater.
Oh, exactly.
I mean, when I watched Once Upon a Time, my phone was in my pocket. I wasn't checking Reddit. I didn't even answer a phone call.
Yep.
And if I had to take a leak, like it was 15 seconds, you know. When I'm watching a movie at home on Netflix, even if I'm sitting right on top of a 75-inch TV, occasionally I'm looking down at my phone. I've got an email. I'm going to check that. Hey, I'm going to text a friend about whatever we're doing tomorrow, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
I'm not invested in the same way.
Nope. And that's why I'm saying that's a good idea that they're starting to push stuff into theaters.
Right.
Because then Hollywood kind of has to recognize them too, because that's been the problem. They don't put them in any nominations because it never went to theater. So that's pretty smart. I didn't know they were doing that, but that is pretty smart.
And well, okay, so I went and saw Scary Stories.
Yeah.
And that was a CBS Studios movie.
Really?
Yeah, CBS is TV. You know what I mean?
Huh.
What you're used to, which is the same thing you think about Netflix. Like, oh, it's like a streaming platform for movies and television at home. And now them, Amazon, whatever, they're creating content, putting millions of dollars behind it, and then putting it up on a movie screen.
So is Amazon Studio, I mean, is that a new thing or...
No, I mean, they've done movies. Amazon does exactly what Netflix does.
Yeah.
They make their own original content. There was a movie with, what's his name, Casey Affleck that went really big.
It's crazy. You know, I'd use Amazon Prime, but I really can't think what I'd go there for. I find myself always going to Netflix.
Really? I'm the opposite.
I know.
I'm Prime.
You're always Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out what I need to start watching there. I
Yeah.
think I have like a HBO, subscription added to it. I go there for stuff like that. But other than that, I don't go there that much. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's the thing is I've always seen Netflix as having the better original content, but Amazon Prime is they're pushing that way. You know what I mean? So they tried when House of Cards came out, they tried to do their own version of that. I mean, they're still learning, but now they're creating some content that's worth taking a look at, you know? They did a Woody Allen film.
Oh, they did?
I think
Amazon
so.
did?
Yeah. I think it's called Wonder Wheel or something like that.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, it had like Kate Winslet and...
She's a good actress.
Yeah. She's popular. But yeah, so I mean, that it really is. The funny thing is, we were sitting here going, are they going to change the way? But it sounds like they're actually trying to conform back to what we've known all along, which is cinema. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is kind of strange because I think they pushed to evolve, at least how we view content and, what we consider to be an overall movie experience. But at the end of the day, you can't beat going to the theaters.
You cannot. Audience interaction is amazing for certain movies, So, and it kind of leads me to a different question real quick, but pertaining to all this, and maybe the rest of the people are kind of feeling this too, but I'm not burnt out, okay?
Yeah.
But I'm a little put off by so many different people now have their own streaming platforms. You have Vudu, Netflix, Amazon Prime.
Right.
You have whatever. Disney's starting a streaming service.
And yeah, not only that, but every channel. I mean, if you want... I forget what TV show it was, but it was the new Twilight Zone stuff.
Yeah.
The Jordan Peele stuff, and you had to have whatever CBS's streaming thing.
It's just
instant access. HBO has HBO Go or whatever. Yeah, everybody is getting their own, and that's another reason why I like the Amazon thing, because you can just subscribe underneath that to tons of channels. It makes it easier.
And at the same time, I feel like I feel like we're going backwards a little bit because at one point I thought, man, this is going to be cool. We have one or two things you really choose from, and
you have access to everything.
And it's not doing that anymore.
No,
right now they're separating everything, and I guess a la carte is what you want to call it.
That's right. So, yeah. And now it's gone back to, remember how we used to bitch about cable?
Yep. It's
and
going. Yeah.
There it is again.
It's really so I'm not, like I said, I'm not burnt out, but it's definitely, that's why I'm just like, man, I can't keep up with all this. And it's just
Yeah, you know what happens normally? It's like here's another reason why I'm not getting commission off of people signing up for Amazon Prime or anything. But what I'll do is,
please click on his affiliate link.
yeah. Somebody will say like, okay, my friend Jason said, hey, are you watching the new Chernobyl thing on HBO? You got to check that out.
Yeah.
So on Amazon Prime, I will go subscribe to HBO for a month and then immediately cancel the subscription. So you pay $10 and then in 30 days it automatically cancels.
Yeah.
Rather than rent it or pay for it or whatever, you pay $10, you consume it, and you watch all the movies for a month, and then at the end of the month,
Yeah.
I try to do that because otherwise, before you know it, you got $200 in subscriptions, man.
It adds up quick. Like right now, I have PlayStation View for TV stuff.
Right, yeah.
And I have the one so I can get local channels, so I can get my local sports. So that's $59 a month.
Right.
Just that.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's good, but
the kids want Noggin and PBS Kids and all this other stuff. It adds up quick, man.
It does, man. And I don't know I think everybody's going to come to a point, because there's no way that all these companies, they're making money, but I don't know if they're making the kind of money they were making when it was just cable TV.
Right. We're either going to continue to pay more, or there's going to be a market correction that makes everybody go to like $6 a month rather than, you know what I mean? Because here's the thing. You can pay $10 a month for just HBO, or you can pay $15 a month for Netflix, and you get crossover movies, you get original series, you know what I mean? Even though HBO is doing that too, but not as a grand of scale as Netflix is doing. You can't out Netflix, you know.
But I'm thinking about this, and I may need to kind of redo my statement here. I don't think it's going to get fixed. You know why? And this is what I'll say, because, and me and you are both guilty of this, is everything today is predicated on convenience.
Oh, sure.
And someone's got your favorite show. Well, you're fucked, because that's the only one that's got it. You're going to pay it if you want to see it.
Exactly. Oh, man. And that is frustrating. That's why I do the subscribe cancel thing, because I'm like, look, I don't want you guys to sneak 2 or 3. Like, I'm paying for an Anytime Fitness membership. I hadn't gone in 2 years. You know what I mean? And it's because they make it to where you forget about the subscription. Yeah. I called Anytime Fitness. I was like, hey, I need to cancel. They're like, you can only cancel in person. And then there's a 30-day waiting period.
Good
so he's
God.
like, if you want to cancel, you better cancel before the 12th, because after the 12th, whatever. I'm like, good God, And then, of course, I miss it because life happens.
Yeah.
And then it's like there's another $50 down the drain.
Yeah. I'm telling you, now that I'm thinking about it, it's just not going to change in the generation after us, and not taking any shots at anybody. It's just the world they've been brought up in. It's different than ours. We came in when,
satellite. Remember that?
Yeah, it was satellite TV, and we went to cable too, but then we went to, people could have internet that actually wasn't 56K dial-up. We were blown away. So,
dude, I taught students, and I made a joke about dial-up internet, and they had no idea. I was like, I'm old.
You're like standing in front of a bunch of people making those robotic noises.
Yeah, I was like, no, kids, it's like this. You guys don't remember that? And they're like, we weren't born yet. Like, okay, well, I'm old.
Yeah, so they've been brought up. It's just like the other day I was in a shopping center getting some groceries, and I'm coming out, and as I'm coming out, the people that are working there are younger kids. I say kids, they're adults pretty much.
Yeah, they're like high schoolers.
Yeah, they're like, hey man, just hit me up later tonight, mess me on Instagram. Like, I'm just like, I use Instagram, but I don't think of it as
a messenger.
Yeah, I just don't. It doesn't seem convenient to me.
I'm so out of the loop on social media now.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I had to delete the Facebook app to keep myself from going on it.
Yeah.
I recently re-downloaded it and I forget it's there now. People are like, hey, I tried to holler at you on Facebook or I tagged you in something. I'm like, I don't care.
I really hope that there's like a change because I hate how everything is in social media. I understand its importance.
Right.
And there is definitely a time and a place for it. But man, and people have been pointing it out recently, but everything is faked.
Yeah.
Everything. And it's just, man, I'm tired of that.
And this kind of the human element is kind of like what's a bummer about, even though I absolutely love when Netflix like dumps a whole season on me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you remember planning out like, oh God, we're going to Tuesday night, 7 p.m. We're going to like get all the friends together and we're going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was an event. And I think that's what's so great about going to the movies as opposed to watching it. It becomes a moment in time. It becomes a memory.
Yeah.
And it's not just like, I put on some form of streaming every night. I go to sleep to it. It's on the iPad.
I tell you, every night I go to sleep with Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing with me, and I'm watching something, not Trailer Park Boys, but I'm watching something, even though you keep begging me.
He needs to watch it.
But, it's one of those things where it's forgettable.
Yeah.
But you go to the movies and you go, oh man, I remember seeing that. Which leads to the next thing is the favorite movie experience that you've had.
Oh man,
growing
you want
up.
me to go first?
Yeah, go. You go ahead.
Okay, my favorite movie experience, and not just because it's an awesome movie, because it was.
Yeah,
it's timeless, and everybody still talks about it. Was actually the very first Jurassic Park opening night was phenomenal. I think I've told you the story before, but since I haven't told this audience of two people that are probably listening,
us.
So Jurassic Park comes out. My older sister had come in from Mississippi to visit, and we went to what was considered a nice theater back then. It probably looked like a dollar theater now.
Yeah.
But we went to it, and my mom took me and my older sister, and my older sister had her son, my nephew. And this place was slammed. I mean, there was literally no seats in this theater for this movie. We were all bunched in, and this is before you had lazy boys and 6 feet of distance between everybody and people bringing out personal pan pizzas to eat. This is just unadulterated, just cattle.
If you wanted anything other than popcorn, you snuck it in.
Yeah, pretty much. And so we're there opening night, and the first few minutes are rolling, and the entire movie is blurred. I'm talking almost out of focus, and everybody's getting pissed.
Yeah.
And eventually they stopped the film, flipped the lights, and the guy opened up the glass window from the projector room above everybody. He's like, "Hey, just gonna let y'all know it's probably gonna be blurry. We don't know if we can fix this. If you want a refund, we'll give them now. But if you stay, no refund."
Yeah.
And literally 99% of the fucking people got up and left.
Really? Okay.
And so they leave, and we decided, well, fuck it.
Yeah.
That's probably not what my mother said, but
she might have said that.
She may have. So
she probably dropped about $45. That was a lot of money back then.
We traveled 45 minutes to even go see this, so we're gonna watch this movie.
Yeah, that's right, blurry or not.
Yeah. So everybody leaves, and I swear to God, as soon as they kicked it on, not even 30 seconds later, it corrected itself, and it was just like us and like maybe 2 or 3 other people in there, but it was so cool.
Yeah.
To just watch this big badass blockbuster movie that ended up, as we know all now, it was like a game changer in cinema.
Right.
Really, to ourselves, it was very kind of private, and man, it was badass. It was a great experience. I was so, because I've been to big blockbusters, stuff like, not that it was a great movie, but from 2000s with Matthew Broderick, like Godzilla.
Right.
I hate it being crammed. I've always hated that. So it was an awesome experience for me.
Yeah.
That was mine.
Man, that is sick. I'm jealous of that because I saw Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah.
But I think, sometimes it can be even great to, like, a great film, but when you go see it with the wrong company, I went and saw it with my cousins and their parents.
Yeah.
It was my aunt on my mom's side, and, like, there's no easy way to say this. She's a bitch, man. She's a bitch. And she would do this thing where when we would come over, she would buy like her own kids like popcorn and sodas and stuff.
Yeah.
But she wouldn't buy us any. It's like the rule of the road. Like if I've got like my kids have somebody over, it's not like we're not going to give them food or drink.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, like, we sat through the whole movie, and their kids are all like, nom, 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 you know, like just loving it. And my stomach's growling, and I'm thirsty. You know, like I'm just a little kid, you know, so I don't have my own money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I didn't see that. But probably my favorite one is actually, it wasn't a great film. It was Independence Day. You know what I mean?
Good movie. I like that one.
Yeah, it was good, but it wasn't like, it's not like an epic of all time, but it was a good film, especially at that time. And I went and saw it with my cousin had come down from Michigan.
Yeah.
And we all went, and we were always close. Like, his name was Grant. He came in every summer, and he like stayed the summer, and we were like, young. We played and had lots of fun. We like would both dress up like Batman and fight each other. You know what I mean? So he came down, and we went and saw that, and it was like the first time I remember like watching the movie.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And like being into it, and like, being next to somebody that's like, yeah, oh man, that whole thing. That's the best part.
Oh yeah.
Because like things that are exciting are infinitely more exciting with people.
They are.
You know what I mean? It's like when you see something funny, like if I watch a funny movie by myself, it's not as funny as if I watch it with a bunch of friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's something about the human element. But yeah, going to see, we had TCBY afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So it was like, and that was back when like TCBY was like the king. You know?
Yeah, they were definitely the only. They were the only game in town.
Yeah. So like we went and saw, and we just got loaded up on Butterfinger bites and all that stuff. Then we went to TCBY. It was the best, man. It was like the epitome of being a kid and like having, like, we didn't have a whole lot of money, so that was a big deal.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Because that was an expensive, excursion, and it was just an experience. And it's like one of those things. I remember that, and I think at the time one of the previews was Harriet the Spy was in the preview, and I remember even looking over at Grant, just like anything would be cool in the theaters, and I looked over and I was like, man, I want to see Harriet the Spy too. And he wrote me a postcard later on, a few months later, and he was like, went and saw Harriet the Spy. It was sweet, but not as good as Independence Day. But it was a good experience, man.
Yeah, you cannot beat those kind of experiences back in the day. We don't have them like we used to.
Right. Yeah.
Convenience has ruined that for everybody.
Yeah, we're spoiled now, man.
Yeah.
We don't have to wait. The anticipation to build. It's just like this Tarantino one.
Yeah.
I was so excited. This sounds dumb. I was so excited for this new Tarantino movie. I was like shaking.
Yeah.
I was like, I had finished my drink and my popcorn and candy before the movie even started. I was like stress eating, you know what I mean? Like, oh God, when you get out there and you wait for them to clean the theater so you can go sit like 45 minutes before, and you're like watching Screen Rant or whatever, where they like
you're like lifting your feet so they can sweep under you.
Yeah, exactly. But like that kind of excitement, I still want that. I want my kids to have that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not just be like, Dad, can we spend $5 on Amazon so I can have a season of Blue's Clues?
Yeah. Everything's
done that.
Everybody wants it now, man.
Yeah,
that's life.
Man, I hope that the cinema is something that never dies.
I hope so too. I don't think it will because it still stands alone by itself differently than streaming.
Right.
So I think it'll be okay.
You went with me to the film festival, didn't you, in Tyler?
Yes, I did.
Man, that's another thing. I so want us to do a short film just to get it into a
theater.
Yeah, just to watch it. That experience of especially something, you create yourself, man.
Yeah.
I get that'd be so much fun.
Oh, it'd be awesome, man, just to gauge the audience too. It'd be
Right,
awesome
yeah.
to see that.
Because that's how you always put it out there into the world. Like we make little skits and then we post them. And then you get reactions online and comments.
Yeah.
But it's not the same as like hearing someone actually laugh at
Yeah.
the joke, you know?
Or as you watch everybody and you can hear them pin drop the entire time.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, oh, God, here it comes. It's going to be hilarious. And then it's like radio silence. You're like, even crickets are like silent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
Well, I think that's good for this this podcast.
Episode 1.
Man.
Yeah.
Episode 1 was good. I think this flowed pretty well.
This was fun. I enjoyed it. Wait, should we do more? Let us know.
Let us know.
I don't know how you would do that. It's not on a podcast. Let us know by listening at least 5 times.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm Ryan,
I'm Mike.
and this is the Couch Dwellers.
You've been listening to the Couch Dwellers Podcast.
Bye.